Hey everyone, it's Karley Hall, and today we are going to learn how to make these cute bride tribe and bride buttons, but you can use this tutorial to make any type of pin or button that you want. So I'm going to show you how to do this using the We Are Memory Keepers button press. So let's get started. So here is the button press, and the cool thing about this is you don't need any other machine to make these buttons. So it comes with these plates and dies that you can actually use to cut your buttons. So I'm going to show you how to just cut out a piece of paper so that you can see how that works, and then I'll show you the project that I made using my Cricut. To start, your press has these pieces that swivel, and included in the kit are these platforms. So you're going to place the larger platform right on the bottom. It doesn't matter where, just snaps right in. And then the top, you'll line up the arrows with the ridges. So just kind of place it in until it lines up. You have 3 different size dies. We're using the medium size die today, but you also have a larger size and a smaller size. I found it helpful to write the dimensions on each of my dies. So this one, the actual size it cuts is 1.95 inches. But the size that is visible on the button is 1.45. So I'll include those measurements in the description because when you're designing, it's helpful to know how big your entire circle should be and where the design is. So let's grab a scrap piece of paper so we can cut out an image using the die. I found this scrap of paper, so we're going to use that. We're going to place it right on the platform here, and then place our die over the top of it, centering our image over the top. So my image doesn't really need to be centered all that well since it's just some watercolor, but we'll center it up, and then we're going to rotate the base underneath. With the die underneath the press, we're going to press down. And I like to turn my base so this swivels here. And you can see that there's little lines. We're going to swivel it a quarter turn. And press. We'll swivel it another quarter turn. And press until we get all the way back to the front. This is optional, but I do feel like it helps get a really good cut with the die. And one more for good measure. So you can see here that it just cut off the corners because my scrap was so small, but it won't be a problem since it covered the entire circle here. All right, let's move on to the next step. So now that we're done with the die, we can take off these plates, and we'll use the corresponding color to the size die we use. So we use the light blue, so we're going to use these plates. So the base is indicated with base right here, and we are going to just pop that in and it clicks into place. The top one, you have arrows, and you'll just line it up with the arrows, and it just clicks in and drops back down. So now we have both of the pieces attached. We don't need the die anymore, so you can set that to the side. And now we're going to set up our button. The first part of your project, you'll have your button blank, and with the round side up, so this is the back, round side up, you're going to place that in the machine. Then you'll place your image right over the top of that. You can see that my image doesn't cover the entire area, but it does cover the pin just fine. And if we want it to be a shiny pin, we can add a sheet of Mylar. Okay, so now that that's all lined up, we're going to swivel it to the back. And on the side here, you can see that we have these letters. So we want everything to be on A to start. So we have A and A lined up all along the arrows. Once we're lined up, we can press down until you hear that pop sound, and then you'll swivel it back to the front. You'll see that the button disappeared. And now we'll take our pin back. So this is the pin back. And that's the side that we want facing us. So we're going to place that in. And there is a little bit of a strategy to place this. So it's a little difficult to see, but in here there's two little grooves. And my pin back, we want it to be oriented the correct way. Obviously on this project, it doesn't matter which way it goes, but on the next example I'm going to show you, it will matter. So it is oriented like this. Let's focus it. We're going to flip it so that it just lines up with those grooves and then drop it in. Then we will swivel that to the back and line up everything to B. And then close the press down on top. I like to do one good press and then just a second little press for good measure. And then we'll swivel it back out and pop out our button. Here's a better look at the first pin, and you can see that even though it wasn't a perfect circle, the entire image is visible and wraps around the edges of the button. On to our second project, we are going to use basically the exact same setup. So we have our base ready to go. And this time we're going to pay a little bit more attention to lining everything up so that you know where to put things so that your pin back lines up. Starting with the image. So at the beginning of the video, I said these were bride tribe, but they're actually bride squad images. And you can find these in Cricut Design Space. We are going to start by placing our button into the press with the curved side up. And then we will place our image over top of that. For your image, you'll want to line up the image to these lines. So you can see here, whatever you want your orientation of the image to be, adjust it so that those lines are even. All right, so now I'm happy with my placement. I'm going to place a piece of Mylar over top, and then we are going to swing this to the back. Just like before, we're going to line everything up to A since this is our first step. So we have the arrow, A, arrow down there. So once everything is lined up, press down until you hear that pop sound. Swing it back to the front. And your button is gone. Now we'll place our pin back. To line up your pin back, there's two grooves inside. So the orientation that I want my pin back to be is like this. So I would want it to be along those lines, but I need it to be upside down. So we're just going to place it upside down and do our best to line up with those grooves. Just like that. And then swing it back to the back of the press once again. This time, rotate everything to the B and press down. Once again, I'll just press twice for good measure and swing it to the front. Okay, so the moment of truth, here's the pin. And when I flip it over, it's actually oriented the correct way. We Are Memory Keepers also sells different fun kits. I picked this one up from Michael's, but there were so many different ones that I can't wait to try out. So I'm going to try those. And if you want to see those tutorials in the future, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any questions about any of the things I went over, the press, cutting with the die, or designing in Cricut, let me know and I will definitely be happy to help you out. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next video.